This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
In the Art Marketing Minute, my goal is to answer your art marketing questions. You can send them in or upload a video question, artmarketing.com/questions, or you can email it to me, eric@artmarketing.com. Most people email them. And my producer, Amadine, who is French, has the questions for us. Amadine?
The first question is from TJ Pruitt from Virginia. If your primary purpose with your art is not monetizing, how best do you showcase art that you want to reach people but are not primarily concerned in selling? For me, I enjoy when my art brings joy to others, so I want to give it the best possible exposure for that cause.
All right, TJ, I'm going to tell you a story. Great question. I hold these week-long retreats. I do one in the Adirondacks every June, although I think I'm going to stop doing it pretty soon because this is like this summer will be like the 12th one, and I'm kind of sick of doing it. I want to go somewhere different. I don't know if I'll stop or not, but I might. Anyway, I hold these retreats. I do another one at Fall Color Week, and one time we did Fall Color Week in Kananaskis Park, Banff, Lake Louise in Canada, and we had an unseasonably early snow and a massive snowstorm, and a lot of people didn't want to go out, so we were painting out, looking out the windows and painting indoors. Some of us went out and painted part of the time. But I offered some personal coaching to people because I teach marketing. And a bunch of people took me up on it. And this one guy wanted some time. And we started talking about him wanting to sell his art. And he was asking how to do it. And I could sense that his heart wasn't really into it. So I just said, why do you want to sell your art? And he said, well, I guess because I thought I was supposed to. And I said, well, there's no supposed to. Why do you really want to sell art? He says, I don't know. I said, do you need the money? He says, no, I don't need the money. I retired, I had a great job. I don't need the money. I said, then why do you want to sell your art? He says, well, I guess I don't really want to sell it. He says, and what we finally figured out is I asked him a bunch of questions, and we figured out that his need was that he wanted to contribute somehow. He wanted some recognition for his art. It's always nice to be validated that somebody else likes your art, which is not always the case. Sometimes I'll give a painting to a family member and they'll go, oh, thanks, with gritted teeth. Um, because art's a personal thing. Sometimes they're not going to like it, so we crafted a plan for him to market his art but not to sell it. At the end, we determined that he wanted to leverage his art to help organizations and charities that he loved, so we worked on a plan to get him involved in those charities and auctions, and we find ways to help his art help others. And we left, he was on fire with a mission. Now, I go into a lot of that stuff in my book. There's a lot of different things you can do to get involved, but essentially, if your charity's local, then you need to become famous locally. And you have to follow a marketing plan to become famous locally because they want your art, and your art will raise more money. If you're putting a piece of uh, garbage art into an auction, it's not going to sell. That's going to be embarrassing. So you got to be good. You got to make sure that you're living up to it, and I did that one time when I wasn't very good. I put a piece of art in a auction for the kids elementary school, and nobody bought it. And so that just reflected badly on me. So, and now I'm really, really careful. I had a moment one time, it was a really great moment when I had this great big painting. I did it just because I loved it. It was one of my better ones at the time. And I just gave it to this charity auction. And it ended up, it was the #1 fundraiser for that auction. They had me stand up, they're holding it up, and I got a lot of recognition. It was kind of cool. And, and at the same time, the charity made a lot of money. So that was really the goal. So find a cause or two. And there's no rule about a painting has to make you money. Painting is about bringing you joy. Most people don't start painting because they want to make a living becoming a painter. Most people want to paint because they love painting. They want to get good at it. And then a lot of them say, I kind of like to make a living at it. And a lot of that goes back to the recognition, but a lot of it is about, hey, I don't want to work in this crummy job anymore. I'd rather paint all day. And if I can paint and make my living, that's even better. So you might consider, depending on the quality of your work, to explore leaving a few select pieces to some select museums. You might not get into the Metropolitan Museum of Art or the LA or Chicago museums, but unless you're really already famous, and even then, probably not. But there's hundreds of small local community museums that need art and art donations, and I'm actually working on a lifetime plan to build a museum of plein air and of realism, because those are two areas that I'm really, really, really excited about. All I need is somebody with a lot of money to fund it. I need a building in a major city, and I have all the art, and some of the art I need to get yet. But anyway, that's the kind of thing you can do is donate art. Um, and you have to put some stipulations. Whenever you donate anything, you got to put stipulations. Now, there's a guy by the name of Alphonse Mucha, great painter, was really known for his Art Nouveau work, but he was a brilliant painter. He did this thing, this series of paintings called the Czech epic or the Slav epic or something like that. And I've seen them, but they have been in hiding because he gave them to the city of Budapest and said that they must show them, but he never said when or how long. So they sat in a warehouse for 100 years before they were shown. Now they're starting to get shown a little bit, but you want to make sure you stipulate, here's what to do. You can't sell my paintings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Next question, Amandine.
The next question is from Eugene from Hawaii. Does striving for titles from one's peer group create unnecessary stress? Does it distract from the essence and joy of painting for pleasure? Are there any benefit to a title? What are the negatives? I see people spending a lot of money chasing the dream of a title.
Now, Eugene, because you didn't specify what kind of title, I'm going to have to guess. I'm not sure what you mean by titles. I can think of a couple of things. One is to have a title in a local art club, like president or treasurer, but I don't think that's what you mean. Um, I think what you probably mean is a title from an organization. For instance, there's one called the Oil Painters of America. There's the one called the American Impressionist Society. There's lots of them. If you mean a title from one of those, let's explore the pros and cons. Now, these titles are typically not political. They can be, but usually not. You get them from winning a certain number of awards annually. And if you win a certain number of awards annually in so many years in a row, and you get to accumulate a certain number of awards, that adds up to getting voted in and getting a title. Oftentimes it's a master title or a signature member title. And that way you can sign your paintings with that master title. So, for instance, for the Oil Painters of America (OPA), you sign your painting, Eric Rhoads, comma OPAM or OPM, and the idea is that you are an OPA master, right? And so that means you've earned that title. Now, there is prestige to that, huge prestige among painters who know how hard you work to get there. And they know that the standard is high, that you don't get those awards and win those awards by putting together crummy paintings. You get a good standard. But you have to enter a lot of paintings until you get to the point where you've elevated yourself. Now, among some collectors and some galleries, that is also very prestigious. So that's a pretty big deal. So keep that in mind. Now, the reality is there are big names out there, brilliant masters who we all know and love, who don't have any titles. And there are some who have them, but they don't use them. It just depends on what you want to do. The process of getting a title takes a lot of commitment and time, and hopefully it elevates your standard of work. And when you don't win, you learn, you grow, you try harder next time, and you keep trying more and more to win. Now, competitions of any kind make you stronger. In our own plein air salon competition, which is monthly, by the way, it's not, by the way, it's also not all plein air. It's all kinds of painting, portraits, figures, everything. But because it's sponsored by Plein Air Magazine, that's why it's called that. But anyway, I've seen the quality increase over the years because the people who enter get better and better and better and better and better. And so, and by the way, there are top artists who enter, there are new artists who enter, there are new artists who win, there are top artists who win. There's no rhyme or reason, but when you compete, you get better. And the same is true when you enter these organizations. If you're a member, first you got to belong. California Art Club does this too. I don't think they have titles, so I'm not sure. Anyway, um, I've never tried to get a title. I'm not so sure that I have the time to try to get a title because it's not really all that important to me, but I don't have to make my living selling my work. And I think I could make a living selling my work without a title, but it might become important at some point in my life if I ever decide to paint full time or something, which I don't think I'll do, but you never know. We all have to make our own art journey about our own goals, our own interests, our own time, not somebody else's desires for us. I paint because I love to paint. You probably paint because you love to paint. I don't send the galleries a lot of work because I don't do a lot of work. I don't want the pressure. I turn down shows because I don't want the pressure of creating shows. I just want to paint. I want to have fun. And if I get some good ones, I'll send them off to the galleries. I don't even care if they sell, but they do sometimes, and sometimes they don't. If I were making my living full time, I would care a lot more, right? But I make my living publishing art magazines and conferences and things like that. So it's not about that. Um, I love that I can just paint without pressure. And that might be you. You might want to just paint without pressure. Nothing else matters to me. I don't need awards. I don't need titles. I don't care what happens. I just want to paint because I enjoy it. And and I like to paint so I can hang out with my friends, and I want to be good enough so that I don't completely embarrass myself. But do what you want to do. Follow what you want to do. Don't follow a Pied Piper. All right, that is today's Art Marketing Minute.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.